Yeah, there's no way in a few minutes that I could even begin to respond to this, but I'm not racist towards Muslims, but Muslim is a religion. What I've actually been discussing is racism that I've been experiencing as a person with a Muslim last name. Growing up separated from my father, who was abusive, who abused my white mother, and discussing the fact that I don't believe that Muslims did 9/11. So if you believe Muslims did 9/11 and that I'm being racist towards Muslims, your name I have identified as being a viewer. So you should know, unless this is a troll account, but I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, you should know my history, being that there are comments a month ago, and it looks like you think that I deserve things that happened to me because I'm not Muslim. And so there is a aspect, whether you know it or not, of abuse towards women that does happen in the Ansary family. I don't know if your last name is Ansary. There's a sign that you could be, and there's a sign that you may have just found me through some other means, and you're not a relative. But if you don't know my dad and you're not in the family and you don't know what's going on there, then you don't know about the abuse of women that goes on there, and that I've stood against that. Not really extreme stuff. Also, I've asked Muslims to come to my aid for a long time. Okay, and so I've actually been critical of you not supporting me, standing against the. So saying that I'm racist towards Muslims is very similar to the mental illness of some white people that think I'm being racist to white people, being critical of white supremacy. It is like an alien program. So this is going to be part one of kind of a retort. But does this person, if they're Muslim, realize that I'm predicting that Muslims could be blamed for terrorist attacks they're not guilty of? Or are they saying that I'm being racist towards Muslims for saying that Muslims shouldn't be committing terror attacks towards Israel? Can I get some feedback via email from the regulars? Are there any psychics watching right now? Are they seeing me attacking Islam for being psychic and predicting the future? Are they saying that I'm against Allah for saying that Muslims shouldn't suffer in Afghanistan and that other Muslims around the world shouldn't let the Afghans burn? Is this person racist towards Afghans? Is this person a Muslim of the heritage outside of Afghan? Do they have a racial bias towards Afghans? Is there any known history of this person using YouTube to stand up for Afghans, even with an anonymous name, to hide herself in the same way that they hide themselves with a hijab? Is there any evidence that this person is a good person? Is there any evidence that if they're from a Middle Eastern family that they are sending me a recipe for kebabs, which I have requested? Okay, is there any evidence? So I did have kind of a girl that I had a crush on that became Muslim that came to my 9/11 Truth stuff. Does this woman know that I was the only 9/11 Truther in Portland? And that Alex Jones did defend Muslims for years. And then Alex Jones turned on Muslims, and then I exposed Alex Jones. And by exposing Alex Jones and people that created fake news about Muslims, I ended up becoming homeless off the grid because I was identified as Muslim. So me pushing back against it has been me trying to survive because I don't have Muslims around me that'll even give me any food or bread. I've contacted Moss and asked them to invite me for tea and cookies where I am, and they refuse to speak to me. On Facebook, I've tried to create anti-Islamophobia groups for the last 3 years, and I'm shadow banned on AI. And Arabs and Afghans will not let me post in their group. So if you guys are not going to reply in the comments and kind of say I'm sorry or I get it, I misread you, I misread you. But I don't understand how you would misread me when I have entire playlist dedicated, you know what I mean, to anti-Themism. Plus, I just got a comment in saying that they're saying that people are being accused of migrants, Muslims are being accused of knife attacks, and I said on his channel that some of these people might be under mind control to demonize Muslims to deport them. So not only do I fear for my life, and I believe that I could die by being identified because of my middle and last name, because Ansary comes from the Arabic world. Not only that, but a veteran. I don't want all of you that are veterans to think I'm talking to you, but I did lay out some parameters, and if you did take that feedback that I said on today's video, because I meant what I said, bro, I do want to heal with you and others, and maybe this right now, what happened to me, is bringing me closer to some of you. I'm sorry if I get too angry at some of you that served overseas, and I really wish you would reach out to me. And just privately tell me, and maybe we have to do it in person, what you experienced. And I'll try to forgive you. But murder is something that'll be hard. But could someone explain to me why these Muslims hate me? Because they're racist to me is the truth, man. It's because I'm white and now that I'm Christian. And I'm telling you, when I cited both Christianity and Jesus, something really bad happened as far as my relations with my family, and I don't know what's going on. I am a descendant of people that spread the religion, And I posted recently in a Substack, if there were negative things that they did, then I repent of that. And because I do believe in generation. See, I believe that my dad sinned against Allah, even by the Quran standards, by being a translator and working basically for U.S. troops. I'm not attacking all you troops right now. We already had our talk. I know some of you just didn't know any better when 9/11 happened and you weren't in my shoes. And to be honest with you, when 2000 happened and I was on drugs, I tried to run from my legal problems. For those of you that missed that and I didn't put it in the auto bio, we'll get a different graphic. It's because of SOAR Maximum. I did sign up for the Navy, and they said no, not if you have a felony. So I, as a person of mixed race heritage, and that could have been problematic for me. And so there has been a rage against people that murder Muslims for a very, very long time. And the rage towards Muslims, not racism, but anger, like when I megaphone, was the fact that they don't back me and they refuse to watch me. And they think that I'm crazy and unstable. And I was poisoned by a Muslim doctor more than once. And maybe a Hindu doctor and others. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure the ethnicity of the other, right? But I've come across refugees recently that are real mean folks that are very, very wealthy. Now, I have wanted to date, I don't know about a Muslim woman because they don't believe in certain things before marriage, but there are Muslim dating websites. So I do sense that even though there's a lot of Muslims that say they believe in Allah, I don't understand when I talk about Sufi realities why you diss him. Because in my understanding, the whole Sufi realities thing when I bring up Sufi realities to my dad and his brother, and then another YouTuber who put up unfavorable videos about me, even though he's Muslim, he did put up videos that would make me look bad and could result in me being harmed by people that think that I'm challenging every Alex Jones supporter to a fight, which is basically mentally ill and suicide. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just crazy. So I have a history. There is a history of Middle Eastern people and Arabs attacking me. And so, like, when I am joking when I say, am I in the Truman Show? You know what I'm saying? And by the way, we're not going to do video 24/7. It is like candy. You just can't eat candy all the time. So there'll be podcasts, there'll be news shows, there'll be rants, and there'll be some shows in which I'm really, really showing my angst with regards to the people that went overseas. And then there's going to be a moment like this in which maybe God shines forward and goes, you know, you also got to understand these people that you're defending that hate you. And that really hurts. It really hurts, guys, to never, ever know who my sister is and my brother, and to know that they were really brainwashed by my dad against me. Did my dad tell my sister that I'm racist towards Muslims? Because my dad did, just so you know, say some things that were total lies against my mom. Mom, if you're there, I love you, okay? And I'm sorry for what you went through bringing me into this world with that family. But you're one hell of a woman for at least doing it. And in my opinion, you know, you're not the best person, actually. We went through that. But I know why you've suffered. You've done more than most women would do. You know, but things weren't perfect. And I'm not going to say they were. But this is not okay. Now, I did say there are spiritual attacks during the winter. And we're in the sacrifice season. And so if someone's assuming that someone's being racist to them, when I have many, many videos defending Muslims, saying not all people that believe in jihad believe in violence. They believe in a spiritual jihad, and then I play the Sufi Realities channel, which we're going to get into soon. I guess this is an introduction. And then I ask my friends, and I consult with some psychics online, and I go, what do you think's happening here? Why would someone who left the comment a month ago saying this wouldn't happen to you if you were Muslim? Like, but I defended Islam. And I said that I had ancestry, and I said that there were terrorist groups out there with shady names that sounded like Ansar and shit, you know, Ansary. And I'm like, that's not legit. And all that shit wasn't around when 9/11 happened, you know, all those groups, like, you know, down in Yemen and whatnot. And so, like, you don't know when someone's, like, messing with you, like, and sending messages saying, like, go back where you came from. If they're a Nazi, if they're a Muslim, and then people say that there's a Muslim-Nazi alliance against Israel, which sounds really, really sad for any, if that is the case. Is there an agreement with some Nazis and Muslims on Jews? Is there such a rage towards Jews that Israel should be destroyed because what Israel is doing? Yes. And are there people with concerns about Muslim rage that I've defended? I've defended Muslims against accusations of their rage towards others that are very concerned. People like Aaron, people like Gypsy Fox, who says that Palestinians don't like him. Now, I went to a Palestinian bakery and bought his $6 bread, and I said, and I gave them my channel, and I said, you can say what you want to say to me about Palestine, and I will, allow you to privately share that message. And he refused to talk to me. I said two things: that I'm a descendant of Maz bin Jabal. I said that my father was born in Afghanistan, I am white, and I haven't had any Muslims. I tell them right away what I've done, and I'm the only person in my heritage doing this. And he gave me an ugly face. And I say, I stand against women being brutalized. And at that point, I felt that, to be quite frank with you, that I triggered the man in the way that I spoke. And this is what happened between me and Diamond and Oppenheimer Ranch. I spoke in a way that snapped back at him when he was defensive when I said, hey, I'm sensitive when people ask me about my race. And he acted like he was gaslighting me and acting like I was accusing him of being racist when I wasn't. I was basically explaining, bro, that when your partner, I wasn't saying he was racist either. I'm saying I'm triggered, bro, because we're at a point in time where people might confuse me for a migrant. So any criticism of Islam that they heard from me has also been part of me countering years and years and years of what some people might consider to be a blind defense of Syrian refugees. Now, having said that, I do have a story. I don't know if this is her, but a Syrian refugee or a Syrian woman from Florida messaged me when I was in Pagosa Springs, who was in a opulent home in Durango with her mother. And they heard my defense of the Syrian refugees, and I took the attacks on refugees as a personal attack, being that I always profiled myself as refugee looking, and by Afghani women who told me that I wasn't white enough to be Afghani because I have an East Indian ancestor. And by the way, a friend said maybe this person doesn't know that your family's Muslim and they think they're Indian. Maybe they don't know about your heritage being Afghani. And again, maybe they are Muslim and they hate Afghans, and they are part of the genocide of the Afghan people. They can be Pakistan, ISI. Like, this person could be really naive to the dark side of Muslims hurting Muslims, which is psychotic. But that's very, very damaging and very, very troubling. If not a single female Ansary even knows that I exist, and that I have thousands of videos defending Islam, and some of them had to be brought off the internet because they'd only attracted white racists. And I've been saying for years, where are the Muslims, and why do Muslims believe that the 9/11 attack was committed by Muslims? Are they proud of it? There's no evidence Muslims did it. It was executed to harm Muslims. Now, I've spent $90 for the first time on Islamic books, but it's Sufism. It's not Orthodox. And my dad, by the way, he claims that he is Sufi. And so racist towards Muslims. Wait, would a Muslim talk like that way though? Is this person even Muslim? This person could be someone so damaged and hateful of me that they're not Muslim and they think I'm attacking Muslims. This person could be a white woman. Wow. And not only am I trying to help this is true. Women are being taken over by evil. My mom, my cousins, there's not a single relative that likes me. Okay, so let's go. We need to understand the voices in the head, and we're dealing with the jinn, folks. Okay.
They're the teachers in Islam, that and the women. And who do you think teaches the women? The imams are the teachers. They're the ones everybody looks up to. The reform needs to start there. And there is a lot of stuff in that Quran.
So I was critical of her, but she's basically talking about reform in Islam because it's abuse of women. And so I basically was critical of her, but she is kind of a deranged woman. She is from Portland, so let's go to Sufi realities. I've been promoting this guy for months. Why, if this woman was legit, why would this person not realize that I've been promoting a Muslim channel for months? So I don't have the temperament and the time after 4 hours to go through this. I feel like I have to do a rush express of maybe a variety, like we're at the buffet. So tell you what, kiddo, we'll let God and Allah dictate. And when I was also snapping back and saying about people that demand that Allah be called a certain thing, I was not necessarily talking to any religion. And there are people out there that are very tolerant of me, that are not Muslim, that watch my channel, that have religious views other than me, that appear to be more tolerant of me, that are white than Muslim. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to reconnect with my audience and tell them that I'm not being anti-white. That's all I'm doing, Muslim woman. But I don't think that you're Muslim. I think that you have a beef with me and you're attacking me because of which energy. Basically, we're talking about the jinn, and we just went to a random time code, and so this is a message from God right now to you, but it's not assumed that you are a believer in God, but this is for you, whatever is going to be said. Are you ready? We're going to listen to a Muslim talk to a woman accusing me of hating Muslims. Okay, if you guys aren't able to understand that demons are taking people over after the eclipse, where was this woman attacking me before? I already went off on racism in the Arabic world. This lady waited until after the eclipse. She's activated with hatred, and she probably thinks I'm mentally ill for believing that in the Arabic world. Historically, they viewed the eclipse as a bad omen. And guess what else, guys? There's a geometric storm. So not only was I right in my predictions, she's pushing back against me pushing back of abusive women. There is a conspiracy in white, black, and Arabic and Afghan women to keep them under control of the devil.
To do it. I told them there's going to be something wrong, and that's what Allah says in Quran. When they were teaching the bad and how to make deception between husband and wife, they had to give a disclaimer.
Between men and women, between myself and women hate me, and I'm trying to save them from shaitan, and they hate me, and maybe we're going to find out. Wouldn't that be crazy if a Muslim woman kills me? Wouldn't that be crazy if a Muslim woman or a woman who thinks I'm racist to Muslims or a human attacks me and all the whole time I thought it was Nazis? Wouldn't that be the shit if after everything I've been through, it's a Muslim that screws me over? Wouldn't that be the shit?
The angels
Marut, yeah, because they turn from...
Well, they have a closer understanding of my bloodline and my heritage serving the true Allah. So that would make sense, would it not? That terrorists or people that support ISIS, that think ISIS are the true Muslims, would attack me? Or Taliban? Or Taliban sympathizers attack me mentally, emotionally, and not say apologize when I tell them that I have a 2014 episode showing that, oh my God. So if there is going to be a mass, we have to do so. You just have to discern between the Muslims that are good, like this guy in Los Angeles, and ones that are deranged. You have to get a discernment thing, just like you do with like the fake Christians.
The heavenly kingdom, and they would give out information in the well of Babel. That's why they went into Iraq in that region to get to that well of Babel. So all of that information, they have to give a disclaimer that you're going to be punished if you do this. They said, we don't care, we want that. So you'll see it in all popular culture. So that's the energy that they thrive on, and as a result, the people of faith and building their faith, that becomes the test of their life. That if you have faith, although I walk through the valley of death, I fear not, for I know God is with me. Well, that's the time you have to have it. When people are saying, be scared, and be scared. Be scared of what? If I'm going to die, I'm going to die. I'm not going to live here 1,000 years anyways. But to have faith and all your spiritual practices, so when these creatures start to come, they can't possess you. And your energy and your strength and the strength of your faith pushes that energy away. So that's the battle right now for faith, and that's why one after another, this is not stopping, this just began. One after another things will start coming in, do this, do that, do this, but that's not going to help anybody. What's going to help people is their spiritual practices and their faith and their connection with the divine kingdom.
So I'm telling you, I think Muslims, Orthodox
that
ones,
does make a lot of sense. I would like to ask
the ones that I meet don't like him, but they like him on the internet.
It seems that there are in all traditions.
It's not that Muslims don't like this guy. It's not that Muslims don't like this guy. It's that the Muslims, or the Muslim that watched this channel that put up a video of me screaming at Alex Jones, which could have really turned out bad for me. Like, do you think that Allah would want that? No, but I mean, I can leave the comments open if you'll use the comments, but I just can't leave comments up overnight because that's the witching hour. Like, you gotta like own this. If I leave comments open, you need to leave a comment, period. As soon as you see the comment open, that's your moment to go in. It's kind of like a food drop. Picture yourself in a third world country and you're hungry and you're waiting for the food. When that food is dropped from the airplane, I guess you haven't really starved for knowledge. or to connect with me, because you've had a chance to connect with me, and this person could have asked me via email what my thoughts were, but they did hear what I say. And so after the eclipse, so does that mean that there are some possessed Muslims that are going to be committing acts of terror or emotional or psychological harm now? Because I do recognize that there are unstable refugees that are activated by the solar flares. Let's go further.
Way, those who passed away, there's not a waste for them. It's a gift towards the heavens. So everybody has to go.
Let's just have some fun
that
here.
Can't be
on to how onto that side of Hollywood, which really influences the world. Build your spiritual protection, so it'll deplete all your energy. So they know these things. This is their realm. So the more that people try to study spirituality and understanding energy effects,
marijuana is good.
You know, the more they can benefit from that.
That is fascinating. The Matrix analogy here was
here.
Wonderful. It's such a wonderful bunch of folks here. It's so open and so kind. It's a very unique community here. In my experience, anyway, on YouTube, it can be a terrible place of great hostility and hate, but not this bunch of folks. And I just love them very much. Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Let's see. We've got a number of super chats about William Shatner and stuff, but we'll get to those once the Sheikh has left. I don't want to bore him with that. Warachi with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Warachi. Says, saw something weird in my home a year ago. Got up at night for some reason, turned a corner, and encountered a hunch. Warachi.
The religious writings that we put upon the wall, and the different practices and
You see, the religious writings, for me, I create a symbol.
Citations to put upon the house, because again, like
and
we said,
all of my attempts to warn Muslims about Islamophobia has failed, so they think I'm racist against them for being concerned about Islamophobia. Like, folks. And then we have people thinking I'm anti-white for warning them about China and human trafficking. And then we have black people that think I'm anti-black for being critical of black supremacy. And then what do the other groups think? Do you think about me? And then all this is happening after the eclipse. Interesting. It's like there's a takeover right now. Yeah, Patrick. Yes, you sent me a message about another shooting or a death. We'll get to it.
Incantations, sometimes we've heard, those are correct incantations. So they're reciting things they shouldn't be reciting on television. So you have to mute.
This is very important what he's saying, this scene. This is about horror films. And in pornography, some of the symbols in porn. Did this Muslim woman realize that I was critical of porn because they talk about and they show Muslim women in hijabs being violently assaulted? How could is this person even Muslim, do you think? Like, if it is a real Muslim, we are actually witnessing right now a possessed entity. And who knows if they're capable of doing something dangerous. But that's pretty over the top if they don't know that I've been very concerned about Muslim women being sexually assaulted in Europe with fake news about a Muslim invasion. Do you know what I'm saying to you at this time? Wow. Okay, so because we're low on time, or because you should just watch the videos. Man, fuck! Man, I don't know how long I've been off the fucking air. This is crazy. This is not good. I don't know how long this has been off the air. All right? I don't know how long. All I can say is that this is not okay, and this person doesn't know my history. I've talked about Rambo 3. I made a video about how Rambo 3 isn't being shown in the Western world because it promotes sympathy for the victims of war, and they can't have that. They're constantly demonizing Afghanistan. So I don't subscribe to any white supremacy, Afghan supremacy, and it does exist. It's Islamic supremacy if somebody says that Allah is punishing you if you are being drone striked and you are being harmed. It's because you weren't Muslim. I'm doing more to defend Muslims than Muslims. I mean, this is not right. There's no evidence of Muslims donating to me, even though I have stood against their persecution. So now that we have covered that, and we are back to recording, I realize that I'm going to have issues with recording because I set up the hotkeys. Hotkeys is where you hit a button and it stops recording. So let's go.
And welcome to Outside the Box edition 336 for January 18th, 2015. I'm Alex Ansary. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. A lot of important information that we're going to get through this evening. It almost seems as if we've re-entered the dark ages, and I'm not just talking about the weather. I'm talking about the content of tonight's show. It's been over a week since the Paris attacks, and for many people on the planet, it's like another 9/11. And I don't necessarily mean those people that are in fear of terrorists. I'm talking about those individuals on our planet that could get misidentified as being a Muslim, not to mention that Islam, again, is in the spotlight on a global level, being demonized and misunderstood. And so we are seeing the mainstream media race baiting again, just like what we saw with Ferguson, but in a different way. In fact, in a little bit more frightening of a way. Because when the mainstream media influences people or incites people towards violence, which is what is taking place right now, it's dangerous when that propaganda sticks. And in many cases, that propaganda is sticking and people are believing what they're being told about cultures and people that in reality they know very little about. And so this is alarming to see this take place, to see clips like this being put out there. So without further ado, let's start with track one. This is from Fox News.
We need to kill them. We need to kill them. The radical Muslim terrorists hell-bent on killing us.
I made sure that my dad was sent this video. And so in 10 years then I've done this. So there's a couple things you guys got to know. Women haven't thanked me for warning about human trafficking. Racists don't get better. They get worse in my dealings with them. Muslims haven't thanked me for this video that you're about to watch. They're naive of it, but there's no comments, but there's views. So they were made aware at some point that I made this video. Apparently for Muslims, it's not enough to defend them. They still think I'm being racist against them when Islam is not a race, it's a religion. And I've experienced racism. They're treating me with racism for being a white Christian Gnostic.
You're in danger. I'm in danger. We're at war. And this is not going to stop.
They don't take accountability for the things that I've been through. They say that I talk in a way that brings danger to me. And the question is, have I done something to upset the Taliban? Because I did raise awareness about a certain relative at one point that said something that was really off the wall, and then he blocked me. But basically, I'm prying for info about the true nature of my dad's dad in Afghanistan, who was a part of the government, who was a part of Women's Progress, and they stood against the radical aspects of Islam. So am I being attacked by brainwashed Muslim women, or is it just a white woman who's just already has it in for me, because of because she's on the dark side of my mom's genetics, not the light side of the European genetics within me, and so she's attacking me because we have a shared ancestry in Europe. And so women, they can get really witchy with their thought forms. And for all we know, it's not a stepmom, but a dude in a basement. But what we do know is there's no evidence of them defending Islam, which is interesting. So this is the insanity that we're dealing with today, is whites, blacks, and Muslims and Hindus. I'm actually hesitating from really pointing right now at Latinos and Asians for some reason.
After this week's brutal terror attacks in France, hopefully
you know
everybody
what?
now
There's a
gets
lot
it.
of really decent Russian people and beautiful Russian women.
And there's only one group that can stop this war: the Muslims themselves. Our job is to arm those Muslims to the teeth, give them...
Oh, here we go. Anyway, this lady, was I wrong, guys, to, you understand, when I was defending the refugees to the people out there that were attacking me, you probably aren't even in the channel, do you realize that I was also just defending myself, saying that I know that I have been profiled? I've been told by a white Afghani woman that I look like a child refugee. It's Hamid Rahim's mother in San Diego, California. So I do know that these women over there they have this really cruel nature, you know. And the other thing is, I really was pushing back against the racism towards Muslims and people talking about the dancing gay boys of Afghanistan. There's a lot of decent Afghan Muslims that never did any terrorism, that were just like Native Americans in my understanding. Sure, they may have been eating steak and goat, but don't you guys eat steak and potatoes? I mean, come on now. You know what I'm saying? I would love to go into the Islamic world if they would invite me and teach me and show me the Quran, but I'm not going to sit there and pray 5 times a day, you know, but I'm not going to get in their way. But if they're going to be, like right now they're showing videos of Muslims being attacked by Hindus, and I need comments. Do you guys think this is Shaitan's whispers, which is what I used to call the archonic interference? Is that what this is? Is this a demonic oppression after the eclipse? Gypsy Fox has been invited to do a podcast. I'll send him a link to this video. But I was upset at Gypsy Fox for saying that he thought that there would be attacks from Muslims because of Albert Pike's warning, and I defended Muslims without even having a single Muslim friend. And there weren't any Muslims that provided housing for me when I was homeless. And one person who can't, just so you know, who did come from an Islamic background, his name was Yusuf. He was the one who took me to lose my virginity with some prostitute or prostitute women. And I don't recommend doing that, to lose your you-know-what. So even though he was Islamic or from the Islamic world, he was also very dirty, you know, with regards to, you know, his visitation of prostitutes. And he very much had like a pimp's like energy, this Yusuf guy. And he came sniffing around a couple years ago, and I treated him with the same type of, you know, where the fuck have you been? Excuse my language, that I treated Gunner Standard with, who took his picture off LinkedIn. Yeah, I just want to thank those of you that are the few that send emails, and those of you of the armed forces that are open up your heart. If I'm the first person to do that, though, for you, you know, at some point I do need to hear that so I don't, you know, become self-destructive. And maybe I really did need to be attacked in the heart by a Muslim tonight to realize there's a reason they hate me. Even when I do videos like this. Like this, you guys need to know that I sent her a link to this video, and there's no like on the video. There's no like that I did this. Does that mean I need to take the video down? What do you guys think, my white Christians? Do you think that this is a demonic attack from someone pretending to be Muslim to make me angry at Muslims? Are any of you like Christians that hear the voice of God? I don't know if I can watch this video and see this person's face, because I'm feeling, you know, I'm feeling the same hate from her that I'm feeling from the Muslim, but this woman on the video is against Muslims. You know what I'm saying? It's like the same evil. Don't judge me for having beers tonight, guys, but it's going to happen, and I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry tonight. I don't care what you think, and I'm going to listen to Rat, and I'm going to listen to Metallica, and I'm going to rage, and I'm going to rage, and I'm going to say some things. And it may be shared with you, and it may be too hot to handle. But I kept a secret from my audience for a long, long time, because, like, you would have respected me then, but I didn't. I was really afraid for my dad. Like, my dad chose to serve the armed forces, to supposedly fight radical Islam for a long, long time. And it's like, where were my dad's family the whole time in which I was defending their kind and my cousins? I have videos that I made private that I guess I'll make public, or I'll just drop a link. But it's basically, now that I covered the archonic interference over the Nagel line, I already did one 10 years ago over the Ansarys, and guess what? When I exposed the Ansary family, guess what happened? It was also done after the Costilla, but guess what happened after I exposed the Ansary family? And by the way, guys, my head is now buzzing like I'm being targeted with weapons. Shields up in the name of God the Most High. go away. You have no power here. And it's just right on cue, and I forgot what I was talking about. I'm serious. I forgot what I was talking about.
Everything they need to take out these Islamic fanatics. Let them do the job.
It's not uncommon for me to forget stuff.
Do we still have audio?
It's not.
It is time
It does
for this
happen.
to be over.
I am consuming some cannabis, which is native to Afghanistan. Muslims did smoke in the beginning, but crazy-ass Muslims like the one she's ranting about made it illegal. And so if the Taliban is banning medicine that isn't the native heritage of Afghans, F them and F China. Is this person Chinese? Am I being trolled, though, by China guys? I need Leon, and that's why I'm angry at Leon guys, because I need that man in my life. I need that strong, powerful, spiritual person that I thought was a spiritual gay man. And you know what I think? I think Leon's scared because Ansary is close to the truth. China and bad Muslims, you're not going to win. And fake Christians and Satanists, you're not going to win.
And stop sending American dollars to any Arab country.
First they came for so on and so forth. You can fill in the blank here. It's that type of scenario that's playing out all over again, because people around the world are thinking, well, this doesn't affect me. I'm not a Muslim.
I was homeless. No
So
Muslim
therefore,
even.
I'm not gonna be
no
affected.
Muslim tried to help me. Did I do something to make Allah mad? No. Sometimes God shows you the true nature of the people that claim to serve God, is what I say.
Affected by this? Well, we live now in a day and age, and thank you for playing that video. We'll get the next video ready. Saying in the mainstream media, there is no such thing as a peaceful Muslim. Thank you for playing that. We'll get number 4 ready. They keep repeating on a second-to-second basis, there is no such thing as a peaceful Muslim. And if you want to know if the propaganda is actually sticking, pay attention to what the mainstream talking points are on CNN and Fox News, and pay attention to the YouTube comment section. Pay attention to what your friends are posting on Facebook, and see if they are echoing the talking points word for word. You know what the main talking point is this week? Not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims. When in reality, in Europe, less than 2% of the terror attacks have been committed by Muslims, and many of the terror attacks.
That's a very sinister evil to turn a woman to get someone thinking I hate Muslims. When I made this video, this person that made the comment, just so you guys know, because you guys need to be, the person said in a recent comment, they need anyone looking through your channel would realize, right? That's what you're saying, but this person's been around for years. Did you hear that? So it'd be good. I'm gonna comment and let you know that, and let you know, and then get your reply. This person's been around for years, so how do you explain that? Is it a possession by the jinn, even if they think they're a Muslim or believer in God? That's possible, or they're mentally ill, or they're not who they say they are, or they're just trying to get me emotional.
Quran containing 109 verses commanding hate, murder, and terror, along with alleged threats on our life by Muslims.
So does a person think I'm racist against Muslims for being against ISIS? Could it be that crazy? Do you think some of them really are turning to ISIS? Are they against me being critical of the official story of 9/11? Do they want to take credit for 9/11? Is it really that bad? Is Shaitan really that psychopathic?
Hundreds of fans support her, but not everyone feels the same.
Only results in a negative outcome, and that's exactly what to get on Facebook, CP. All this is documented.
What is the purpose of the conference?
Bill?
The conference.
Okay, so what I want to note about that is they keep telling people over and over and over, Muslims are ordered to kill people. Let me try to approach you with some common sense thinking. So they say there's 1 billion Muslims, as some people love to say, Muslims. 1 billion Muslims. Okay. How many times in your life have you been under attack by Muslims? I know that you're being groped at the airport and you're being told that all these people are after you, but how many times in your own life have you been attacked by a Muslim? Even worse. And I personally...
He didn't even have an answer. He kept just ignoring it. I had to keep
so he has a
continuously
point,
asking him.
But
and I also
my
said,
point
you know,
is how we're in a climate of fear now. Thank you for playing that. Let's get the next video ready. which is video number 14. My point is that we live in a day and age where someone could go, well, that person doesn't look white enough, and that person's certainly not black. They could be Hispanic, which means they could be an illegal, or they can be a Persian, which means they possibly could be connected. I'm not talking about some of my personal information tonight, but you need to talk about it in the future. One group that has pledged allegiance to ISIS is using my surname, the Ansary. But 90% of the American people are vulnerable to being killed by ISIS if they take down our grid. Go ahead and play the audio.
Right behind me, all across the Middle East, they're able to take these over, and they are now making.
So basically, I exposed Infowars Joe Biggs before Joe Biggs attacked Portland. So this is not only me telling Muslims I had your back before you even knew my name, but I had Portland's back when Portland already. I was homeless. So while homeless, I was defending Portland and exposing a guy psychically that would later expose or attack Portland. But Portland wasn't innocent when Joe Biggs went in. He just took advantage of the anger towards Portland when Antifa did illegal shit. They weren't entirely unjustified with taking a stand. It's just that they're not legit, and now Joe Biggs is doing time for January 6th. Alex Ansary is psychic as fuck. So Orthodox Christians and Muslims, I don't think any Jews hate me that I know of. So Orthodox Muslims and Orthodox Christians that I know of, I think you Orthodox Christians, some of you like me though, but I think Muslims for the most part, they don't like me because I embrace marijuana, psychic abilities, I'm against women being brutalized, and I'm angry that they don't support me exposing 9/11, and I shame them for that. And I cite to them that I'm a descendant of Maz bin Jabal, which also shows that my dad's brother is full of crap, and hopefully that won't get me killed. Probably not. It's not a big deal, but he's full of crap by thinking that if I tell people that I'm a descendant of Maz bin Jabal, that they'll respect me. So my dad's brother, even though he's Muslim, for a Muslim, and I'm not being racist, he is intellectually very naive about Islam and Islamic prophecy, especially the interesting stuff about the pole shifty, rising the sun of the west prophecy you've heard me talk about.
Making tons and tons of money.
So here he's prepping
they pick
audio,
Juarez,
and maybe I'm showing you this psychically because they're going to tell us that Islam took out the grid, so I could be affected. And then I was critical of him saying that it's all set up for basically them to come across the border. And then I'm recounting a story about a guy who got hired in Hollywood.
Well, Akbar holding an AK-47. He doesn't know whether he was featured in a movie or not. But the guy was kind of creeped out when he came back to Portland. He did valet at Rooster Steakhouse while I was busing there. And he told me that they hired him to dress up like a jihadi. And he was creeped out, and he was afraid morally. He was afraid.
Now, this is me promoting a Muslim now, exposing the New World Order. It's called Islam and the New World Order. Find it on YouTube. I played this on Access TV, not a single Portlander, supposed leftist, said, good job, Alex, for showing the positive side of Islam that doesn't beat women.
Massive genocide.
So yeah, white women on average and Muslim women both hate me, and they're both of my heritage. If this isn't a sign of living in hell, or a version of hell, I don't know what is. Hell yeah, I'm drinking beers tonight, and I'm listening to Rat, Van Halen, and Metallica. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Taking place.
Oh, you guys aren't going to criticize my dad for drinking hard alcohol and beating my mom. You think we all should be submissive to my dad, but you're going to judge me, right?
Palestinians driven out of their lands. We see people throughout Africa living under tyrants.
I want to play videos all day. This will be part one. I'll connect the videos and leave and come back and do more.
Financed by industrialized nations. We see wholesale murder and genocide. And now with technology, you even see the bodies of the people in Kosovo, in Bosnia,
Gaza,
in Kashmir.
Yeah.
You see it with your own eyes. We witnessed this being slaughtered all over the planet. Thousands of people mercilessly.
Yeah, and if you stand against it, Muslim women will still hate you, or whoever's leaving comments.
Killed.
There'll be no good Muslims showing up saying thank you for saying that we're not terrorists. Like, if this is an attack from the devil, I don't know what is.
And then September 11th, an event that took place that with the use of technology, with people's minds being connected
it basically means, even though I was kind of somewhat at war with Trump supporters. And I said at one point, you can't rationalize with a Trump supporter. And I was actually about to say that again recently. It basically means I can't say that anymore. I have to be politically neutral and not anti-anybody. And maybe we can have peace if I just change my ways and open up my heart to everybody. And if you're going to say, Alex, we can't, but I just got to say, just don't judge me in your defense against some of these people coming over. But I said, if I was in control of immigration, we would allow these people to have space, and they wouldn't be sandwiched in the same area.
By the electronic technology, it becomes a worldwide event. And no doubt it was a horrendous event. But there are also horrendous events that took place in Rwanda and Cambodia and Vietnam and in other parts of the world. And so the September 11th took place. And we as Muslims watched this thing happen. And we said, no, don't let them blame this on us. They blamed Oklahoma City on us. Only by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some information got out, and they realized it wasn't a Middle Eastern character, that it was one of their own right-wing
Johnny Appleseed.
I'm
good.
One of their own homeboys who carried it out.
Homeboy.
But this event took place, and we did not, I want to make it categorically clear, we did not enjoy this event. It is not an Islamic event. And you will be surprised to know that there is a masjid. There was a masjid in the trade center, in the Twin Towers. Over 1,500 people used to make Salatul Jum'ah. And we know that if 1,500 people made Jum'ah, how many didn't make the Salat? You know our community. So that means there were thousands of Muslims inside of that building who also perished. And up until now, we have received no conclusive evidence, only circumstantial evidence, but nothing conclusive. And they tell us that these young Arabs carried this thing out. And then we saw in Saudi Arabia, some of the people actually came, their name was on the list, and they went to the embassy and said, I'm alive. I didn't do it, man. I'm right here. Okay? No. Then they say, no, they carried it out, and these so-called religious extremists, before they do it, they're drinking alcohol the night before, getting drunk, and then they're going to sacrifice themselves for Allah. He writes a letter which so conveniently is found, and then it says, Bismillah wa bismi nafsi wa ailati, in the name of Allah, in the name of myself, in the name of my family. Nobody writes like this. This is a strange situation.
And not only that, and thank you for playing that.
And then the building.
There was also the famous phone call. Hello, mom. Mom. Hello. Hello, mom. You know, completely technologically at that time impossible to call your mommy from the plane, but they got America to believe it. The more absurd the lie is believed, the more they attempt to get away from, and these shock tests keep taking place, see if they can get people to respond. And if they don't respond a certain way, then they try something else. It's not so much about, demolishing or exterminating one particular so-called enemy, but to keep things negative and warlike and violent on the planet. I wrote a quick blog back in November of 2013 called False Flags Are Linked to Solar Peaks. And this, in very many ways, relates to what we're seeing here and what we've seen in the past, like on solar, during the peak of solar maximum, solar cycle 23, which peaked at 9/11. And there's a blog that I wrote on November 1st, 2013. Reading the first paragraph here, I highly recommend taking some time to study the cycles of the sun and paying close attention to what is happening in the world around us. We are moving into the maximum portion of this solar cycle. We're there now. This is last year. And if we look at world events and society, we can see an escalation of so many things and energies at once. In recent news, I wrote this again last year, there are fresh reports of new threats from China, Israel attacking Syria, a shooting at LAX involving a TSA worker, and multiple earthquakes around the planet. That's just the beginning. I am seeing more and more confirmations of the cycles of war and other changes, and their links to the cycles of the sun. I am working to communicate that there's a strategy that the dark force behind the shadow government is using these times to maximize their punch, their impact, and their goal to direct the people's energy in the place that they would like to direct it. Unfortunately, it is not yet widely known by most of human society the many ways that our behaviors can be indirectly impacted by the geomagnetic storms caused by the sun. And this is an excellent time to brush up on the basics. And there's a lot of information that you can learn about the links between the cycles of the sun and the cycles of world war. Until next week, I'm Alex Ansary reminding you the path to the ultimate truth and place of power still lies within. Thank you for watching. Good night.
I actually forgot about that blog. Yeah, so interesting. Okay. So we're about to wrap things up here. We've been going for a while now. There's many more videos. We have a geomagnetic storm right now. One last bit from Sufi Realities.
So that they can accompany them and not to be lost by myself. Because my coordinates will tell me this thing, but my sheikh's coordinates may be this way. That I have to be able to balance what is the sheikh's guidance and what am I thinking and why are they off. Maybe what I'm thinking is very egotistic and the sheikh is thinking more that what I should be doing and how I should be directing myself. And then that becomes the reality of guidance and all the teachings and the talks and all of the activities, so that I can coordinate myself to a higher plane. And then the chanting, the breathing is so that I can raise my vibrations. When I begin to raise my vibrations, then it becomes a great attack against all the lower vibration and the…
And I die.
Wait. Please don't go. My name is Masood. You must not judge us before you understand why we are not ready to help.
This is where he's meeting the Mujahideen.
Most of the Afghan people are very strong.
1990 movie.
And we are determined not to be driven from our land. Our children die of disease, mines, and poison gas. And the women are raped and killed. Last year in the valley of Legman, the next valley, 6,000 Afghans were killed. Pregnant women were cut with bayonets and their babies thrown into the fires. This is done so they will not have to fight the next generation of Afghans. Yet nobody sees anything or reads anything in the papers.
I'm gonna have to go after this. God bless you.
What you see here are the Mujahideen soldiers, holy warriors. To us, this war is a holy war.
I can't believe I've defended these people.
And there's no
and they
true
hate me.
death for the
I can't believe this
Mujahideen
shit.
because we have taken our last rights and we consider ourselves dead already.
Me too.
To us, death for our land and God is an honor. So, my friend, what we must do is to stop this killing of our women and children. If getting this man free, so he can return to the free world and tell what happens here is necessary, then of course we will help. Leave us now, so we may speak among ourselves and find the best way to free this man.
Your regrets on the end of that path. I've talked a lot about my father and the broken man that I was surrounded by when I grew up in Austria after the Second World War. You know, they drank to numb their pain. Their bodies were riddled with injuries and shrapnels from the evil war, and their hearts and their minds were equally riddled with guilt. But besides the guilt and the injuries, they felt like losers, Not only because they lost the war, but also because they fell for a horrible loser ideology. They were lied to and misled into a path that ended in misery. Some of them joined the Nazis because they were filled with hate. Some of them joined because they thought they deserved more in their lives. And they bought into that idea that the only way to make their lives better was to make other lives worse. Some of them joined because they were frustrated with the government, and some of them just joined because everyone else was doing it. In the end, it didn't really matter why they joined. They were all broken in the same way. That's the bottom line here. I mean, if you find yourself at the crossroads, wondering if that path of hate might make sense to you for one reason or the other, or even wrapping yourself with a flag of hate, I want you to know where that path ends. I want you to see it very clearly in front of you in your mind. Because throughout history, hate has always been the easy path, the path of least resistance. I get it. And I mean, it's easier to find a scapegoat for a problem than to try to make things better ourselves, right? But let me be clear, you will not find success on the end of that road. You will not find fulfillment or happiness. Because hate burns fast in pride. It might make you feel empowered for a while, but eventually consumes whatever vessel it fuels. It breaks you. It's the path of the weak. And that's why there has never been a successful movement based on hate. I mean, think about that. The Nazis, losers. The Confederacy, losers. The apartheid movement, losers. And the list goes on and on. I don't want you to be a loser. I don't want you to be weak. See, I've spent most of my life helping people find their strength. This is where the action is, strength. And despite all of the things that we may disagree about, and all my friends who might say, Arnold, don't talk to those people, it's not worth it. I don't care what they say. I care about you. I think you're worth it. I know that nobody is perfect, I can tell you this firsthand. And I can understand how people can fall into a trap of prejudice and hate. Whether you grow up surrounded by hate, or get sucked into by some of big tech's algorithms that push you to the extreme, I can see how it can happen. I think all of us hold some prejudice, there's no two ways about that. And we have to fight it our whole lives. I know this is not the path of least resistance. It's easier to just throw around some bogus science claiming that you're superior to someone else than it is to actually work on becoming better yourself. It's easier to make excuses that the Jewish people conspired to hold you back than it is to admit that you just needed to work harder. It's easier to hate than it is to learn. It's easier when someone challenges you to get hurty feelings and to go and find some echo chamber that will tell you that you are right and they're wrong.